got Benjamin on the line in California on Skype, and you can Skype to us over at username lrn.fm. Hello, Benjamin.
Hey, I don't know if you guys heard this, but over the weekend, an FBI agent was on CNN discussing the Boston bombings and the wife of one of the bombers and how they were trying to get her to reveal the content of phone calls between her and some individuals. And in the course of that discussion, the reporter kept saying, well, what if she doesn't tell you? And he basically came out and said, well, then we'll just have to go and look it up because everything's recorded. Oh, yeah. And so it won't matter. Oh, don't worry, we'll go back and record it. But here's the thing. And everybody's like, oh, no, freaking out that everything's being recorded, which, they should. But here's what I want people to be ready for, and that is the government lying honestly. And that is to say, when the government comes out eventually and says they do not record your conversations, they will be telling the truth. What there is a government program. It's as secret as Area 51. I mean, it's an open secret, essentially, and it's called ECHELON. It's a signals intelligence collection program that the United States, Australia, Britain, a couple other countries are involved with.
Yeah, I remember hearing about this years ago. Mm-hmm. I mean, like a decade, it seems like.
Yeah, no, it's been going on for a long time, and they collect everything, right? So that they can go back and look at stuff, later.
Personally, I question it. I really... It seems an impossibly mind-boggling task to be able to collect absolutely every single word that is spoken, every single text
Typed,
that is sent,
emailed,
it seems
recorded.
Mind-bogglingly unbelievable. And then for the government to claim that they're the ones pulling that off makes it even more unbelievable.
Right. I mean, they may have the information, but how are they going to ever get to it?
Well, that's my thing. I'm not worried about anybody listening in on me because there's just too much information for them to go through. They have to collect it all and then think back and go, okay, I'd like to know what was happening here or whatever. But here's where my point with them lying honestly. Our government or the United States government might not be recording your phone calls because what has been known to happen is the British government, as an example, will also tell their people, oh, we don't record your phone calls. That would be wrong. But what they do is they record Americans, and Americans record the people in the UK, and then they share with one another. So they can say, hey, we didn't record you.
It was the Brits.
The Brits did it.
Yeah.
And they just gave it to us, and vice versa. But again, there's so much collected that I'm not worried about them looking at my stuff. It's still creepy. It's still wrong. We should all be angry about it. But
I would say that this is a violation of the citizenship agreement that we're supposedly all participating in. That the United States government should not only be not recording its citizens' calls, but it should be actively preventing other nations from recording its citizens' calls. I think that is a greater betrayal than recording the calls.
Oh, and they all work together on the system. I mean, it's not like even they're not actively preventing it. They're actively helping it happen.
Well, it's a bad thing.
Oh, for sure. I just wanted people to know that the government will tell the truth, sort of, but they're lying.
It depends on the circumstance.
Sometimes they'll just lie.
Sometimes they'll just straight up tell you a lie. In fact, probably most of the time. So, anything else you want to share tonight?
The other thing on my mind was you guys interviewed Adam Kokesh yesterday about that open carry march, and I've seen lots of people arguing and bickering online. And
that's what libertarians do best.
Arguing over minutia. Yeah. Nothing better.
I'd say this is a pretty big issue. I wouldn't call this minutia at all. I mean, they're planning on having 1,000 people toting weapons into Washington, D.C., marching from Arlington, Virginia into D.C. This is a pretty big, if it actually does transpire, this will be a humongous day in history, I think.
It will certainly be a big deal. But so here's my thoughts. I hear people talking, oh, you're going to make people angry, blah, 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 blah. Well, a right unused is a right lost. So either people have a right to keep and bear arms, or they don't. Mm-hmm. It's one or the other.
They don't.
And they don't. See, this is the thing. I accept that reality. But it seems to me a lot of people are like, hey, you shouldn't do that or they're going to take our rights away. Well, too late for that. Not going to happen. Now, I wouldn't, and so, I can't go participate.
The time for the armed protest in D.C. would have been when they passed the first gun registration or whatever federal gun law, whenever that was, however many decades ago it was. That would have been the time for the armed march on D.C., not July 4th of 2013. It's already too late, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I think it's hilarious that people they're kind of arguing from a position of, oh, we have those rights, just don't use them because then people will take them away. And I find that odd. I don't understand this dishonesty with people's, with themselves in lying to themselves. No, I have the right. I just don't want to, I just don't want to use it so I can keep it. And it seems to me it goes back to people want to have a lot of bark and they're afraid that one day they'll be told, hey, you need to bite. And I don't see it happening. A lot of people want to say, oh, no, if they ever came for my guns, I'd do something about it then. And people don't ever want to be put into that situation. It's too late. They're already coming for your guns. So accept it and move on.
Or move to New Hampshire if you love freedom and make a stand for liberty, a peaceful stand with other people who agree with you.
Move to New Hampshire, gather with people who are like-minded, start working in things like 3 printed guns to get around gun control completely and make it obsolete. I mean, there are other things to do, but I don't know. I think it's silly the arguing going on.
So,
if people want to go open carry, that sounds great.
Okay, so what do you think's going to happen?
I think, kind of Adam already mentioned this yesterday, I bet they'll be met with police resistance at that imaginary line going into Washington, D.C., and they'll turn back around. I don't imagine it will go further than that.
All right. Well, we'll see what transpires. And Benjamin, appreciate your call tonight.